NFL Week 14 is upon us here on Bet On It. We're going to get into those barking dogs, those TV games. That's right, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night football. The Deli, Marco's got some questions to answer about the Deli from the comment section. So we'll get to that here in a minute. And of course, we're going to get the Steam report from VR, as well as those best bets up next on Bet On It. Welcome in to Bet On It. Kelly Stewart here. Gianni the Greek. Marco D'Angelo, the king of the sub sandwich. We'll get to the Deli here in just a little bit because first we got to talk about Thursday night football. Marco, we were talking about this one a little bit off air. Dallas is a 3-point underdog at Detroit, 53.5. And VR kind of said Detroit, if they play their best game, should kill this Dallas Cowboys team. And I said, absolutely. But this Dallas Cowboys team has been playing with a big-time resurgence since that Las Vegas Raiders game, particularly on the backs of that defense. Total right now is 54.5. Make this one make a little bit of sense for me.
Well, Kelly, pure and simple. Yes, the Cowboys are playing much better over the last month than they did most of the season. And full disclaimer, if we pick against your team, it's nothing personal, okay? I pick against the Steelers as much as anybody. But yes, I'm talking to you, Chicago Bear fans. This game here, Detroit, this line should be higher. But the recency bias, and people know what they just saw. And what they just saw was both of these teams played on Thanksgiving Day. One team lost, one team won. And I think it's creating a ton of line value with Detroit. Dallas has beaten in back-to-back weeks. Give them credit. Last year's two Super Bowl participants. They beat Philadelphia and they beat Kansas City. Philadelphia right now, they've got a problem with the offense, okay? They're not playing their best football. It was just a month ago that we were penciling them right into the Super Bowl, but that's how things change in the NFL. On the other hand, Detroit, if you look 2 weeks ago, people say, oh, they struggled against the Giants. They were lucky to come back and tie that and win it in overtime. Yeah, they were. But that was a horrible sandwich spot for Detroit. They were coming off the Sunday night game against Philadelphia, and then they had Green Bay on deck in 4 days on Thanksgiving Day. They went through the motions against the Giants, but they found a way to win. The Green Bay, yes, they lost on Thanksgiving Day. But Green Bay is a good team. I know a lot of people don't like Jordan Love. They don't want to give the team credit, but they've been consistent all year. So, yeah, Detroit lost at home, but in my opinion, they're taking a step down playing the Cowboys. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just comparing Dallas and Green Bay. Those two teams on a neutral field, Green Bay is going to be favored. Pure and simple. And yet we're getting the same type of number this week with Detroit against Dallas. Give me Detroit. The value is there. We're all about trying to find value and present and make good bets. This is a good bet. You want to look at a recency trend? Last 8 games, look at what the Lions have done. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. Guess what? This is the pattern for the win. And as good as Dallas looks right now, you still cannot argue the fact that on the road, they're 2-4 straight up on the road this year. Who were those 2 wins? The Raiders and the Jets. I'll take Detroit -3.
Green Bay -3.5 versus Dallas on a neutral, Marco.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah.
And that's being generous. That's after adjusting Dallas upwards.
Yeah.
It would have been 4 last week.
So ton of value on Detroit here in what this line is.
Sunday night football, Houston at Kansas City. Kansas City is a 3.5-point favorite. Total 42-ish on the odds logic screen right now. Here's kind of the reality. And I get stuck with these games because I let the other guys choose their games first.
You do.
But I've been betting against Kansas City all season long. I took under 11.5 wins. I took no playoffs. So I guess I have to keep betting against Kansas City, and it makes sense. The Chiefs have failed to cover now in 4 straight games, 3 outright losses as a favorite. And on the flip side, Houston is doing the exact opposite. They've won 4 straight. CJ Stroud has returned. And even on that 3-week break, his good old buddy Davis Mills got it done for him. I think this Texas team is in good health. I think that they're establishing a nice connection with Nico Collins and getting this offense really going. Speaking of offense, Kansas City, major issues on the offensive line. Josh Simmons, Jawan Taylor, Trey Smith all got hurt last week versus Dallas. And as of Wednesday afternoon, are all three doubtful to return this week. So when you have those cluster injuries that start to compile late in the season, it is not a good thing to be laying points with a team that is beat up. Yes, obviously they still have Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he still has his security blanket named Travis Kelce. But right now, I think Houston has not only the better roster, but the healthier roster. And VR has been talking about power ratings a lot. I know you guys love it in the comment section. I know power ratings wise, the Chiefs are still a top 5 team, but with those offensive line injuries and against one of the best defensive lines in the league, I have no choice but to take the 3.5 here with the Texans. VR, talk to me about the Chiefs from a power rating perspective. Have you been downgrading them over this last 4 weeks?
Yeah, I have. And they're still in the top 5, believe it or not. It's just power rating wise because, and here's why. They have a top 5 defense. They still have a top 10 offense. They have a top 15 strength of schedule. And they're the Kansas City Chiefs. They still have a strong home field advantage. They are who they are. And again, this is just the numbers. That's why you see the lines. Like, the odds makers, they're just looking at their numbers. There's no bias. Obviously some of us are fans of teams or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's just the numbers. And Kansas City may be a 6-6 football team, but power rating wise, yep, they're still top 5. They would still be favored over teams like San Francisco, who's 9-4, Philadelphia, 8-4, Denver, 10-2, New England, 11-2. Those are, football teams that would just be underdogs to them. And the reason, like New England, perfect example, they're barely top 15 offense. They're barely top 10 defense, and they had the easiest strength of schedule in all the NFL. That's why they don't get that respect, even though they're an 11-2 football team. So it's just the data. It's just the numbers. And KC number-wise on paper doesn't mean on the field they're going to go out there and get it done. But on paper, that's the bottom line, that they're a top 5 power-rated team.
All right, let's get into Monday Night Football. VR, you grew up in Philadelphia. They are a 3-point favorite at the LA Chargers, 41. Please help fellow Philadelphian Dan Alexander out with this one because I'm sure right now he is in Eagles hell after that Bears upset on Black Friday.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If they played again, I think this is what a lot of recreational bettors make the mistake of not realizing, that if they played that game the very next day, the Eagles would still be a big favorite over the Bears. Maybe not a 7-point juiced favorite, but probably still around a 6-point favorite. That's the bottom line. There's a lot of randomness to the outcome of a 60-minute football game. You got to remember that. You can't put way too much stock in it. Here's what we're seeing in this game. First of all, sharp money coming in on the Eagles. The look ahead was 1.5, got the 2.5. Now it's up to that key number of 3 on the Chargers. The over-under was 44 was the look ahead, down to 41. So steam on the Eagles, steam on the under. Now, obviously not surprising for the under steam because you're looking at 2 top 10 defenses. Eagles that come in at number 5 in efficiency. Chargers come in at number 10 in efficiency. What's more impressive for the Eagles side is that's also against the top 10 strength of schedule, where the Chargers had a really easy strength of schedule. The only team with an easier strength of schedule is the New England Patriots. So that's why this Charger team is a home dog to the Eagles, even though they have this exact same record sitting at 8-4. It's warranted. But where this line sits right now, I got to look to the dog, to the Chargers. And here's why. When I look at my power ratings, I'm able to create a betting line. And here's the betting line that I come up with. Philadelphia should be a 3.5-point favorite over the LA Chargers on a neutral field. This isn't a neutral field. It's being played in LA. The Chargers home field advantage is almost 2 points, 1.9 something. So I take that 2 points off the 3.5, and that makes the Eagles a 1.5-point favorite. That's what it opened at. Since then, it's been Eagle money that's forced the adjustment. I don't think that's warranted, especially with a team where the wheels seem to be falling off. You lose to rival Dallas, first of all, where you had a huge lead. Then Thanksgiving at home, touchdown favorites. You lose to Chicago. I know you're supposed to go on the road and beat a Charger team that you're better than, especially since who's going to respect the Chargers? Who do they beat? The Raiders, Pittsburgh, Tennessee. You can only play who's in front of you. That's the bottom line. And at 3 points, I got to take the Chargers at home, especially, like I said, I like the splits with them. They've won over 70% of their home games. Take the 3 points with the Chargers. I haven't gotten to the window with this yet. I don't know if I'll get to the window with this yet. Again, the primetime games, I've done really well, 18-8 over the last 26 Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football bets. So I don't want to commit to the Chargers, but if this game was going on like now, it would be Chargers or pass for me.
I just wish every once in a while I could give you guys a little sneak peek of what I see behind the camera scene, and Dan is just sitting there in absolute utter hell wanting to chime in. I'm not going to do that to him, though. I do that on other shows where I just bring people in, and then I'm not going to do that to him. You guys can catch him over on Wager Talk today if you want to hear about his opinions on that one. Speaking of Wager Talk today, VR, you're there.
Yeah.
4 or 5 days a week. Generally, you give out a ton of Steam stuff. You also give out your Steam for me on College Football Saturdays on Last Call, NFL Sundays with Ariel Epstein. You do a Steam sheet now, and then you also do a Steam room Sundays for premium subscribers. Kind of give us a little preview for NFL Week 14 into what that looks like for this week.
Yeah, and that Steam sheet has been the saving grace for me as far as being able to help my subscribers actually turn a profit when I'm able to do so. And I've been able to really cut down the volume, which is why I've been able to be at number one last 7 days, last 30 days. Because before, with so much volume, it's really hard. You're not going to hit 65% when you're betting 50 games. But now I'm able to share that information on the Steam sheet every single day. I put out all the stuff that comes across from the sharp groups I move for, or guys that move for other groups that share their information. So I share that immediately with anyone that's got the Steam sheet. So they're able to then look at the play and decide for themselves. Do they agree? Do they disagree? Do they want to piggyback it? Exactly what I do with the information that comes across my desk. So I'm putting them in my position for those guys that handicap their own stuff, have their own opinion. Speaking of the Steam room, that's every Sunday. We'll change it up once NFL's over, because college basketball Saturday will be big for us. But final hour, we go over as many NFL games as possible. Always cover at least all the early games, side total, player props, plus EV teasers, answer all your questions, and more importantly, discuss risk management, which is most important. Now, some of the Steam for this week in the NFL, I'm just going to read what was in the Steam sheet from Monday. Atlanta +8 and +7.5. Tampa, 136. Tampa -8, -8.5. 131, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, under 48. 146, that's the Monday night game. Philly and the LA Chargers, under 42 and 41.5. Not all that much movement so far. Also, the Green Bay line, look ahead with 6.5, dumped down the 5.5. Obviously, Chicago looked really good beating the Eagles, but that's when immediately steam came in on the Green Bay Packers, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and also under 45 in that game. So that's some of the games that got hit early in the week. But again, between now and Sunday, a lot of information. I'll be on Last Call as well on Sunday morning.
Absolutely. Last Call with Ariel Epstein, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. You guys will go over the entire NFL card with VR, as well as John Murray. And I got to double check who else is on Sunday this week. I think it's Jesse Shule. But next week, I've already got Marco D'Angelo penciled in. I already said, Marco, I need an early commitment from you because it is National Signing Day in college football. And he's going to be there following week with Ariel Epstein. Let's get into those barking dogs, guys. We got some big ones this week for what it's worth. And Marco, before we get into it, can you let me know what's going on over at WagerTalk.com as a whole?
Yeah, Kelly, a lot of stuff going on right now. We've got an early bird bowl special. We've got the Weekend Warrior that has been one of our most popular packages, $49. Get Saturday, Sunday, college and NFL football. And if your capper you choose has a Monday night football game, you get that as well. Me personally, Kelly, I got a special going this week. You got to check it out. We have been on a tear with our plays. It's been a great run. Our 5% plays, which, by the way, we are going to have another 5% play this weekend. Those plays going back to February of 2024, we are 40-16 with those 5% plays. Our college football plays for the season, when I've released a 4 or a 5% play, 21-6 for the season. You can join me for this package. You can get it for just $139, 14 days. That's not just football. That's all plays. College basketball, NBA, hockey. You can get it all for 14 days for $139. If you bought 2 weeks individually, you would spend $198. We are currently plus $5,500 in the last 34 days with a 53-33 overall record. That's what's going on at WagerTalk this week, Kelly.
Love it, Marco. Let's get into your barking dog, and I'm going to make you go first because you got the smallest one. Talk to me about.
Hey.
Hey, talk to me about why you like Atlanta catching a touchdown here.
Well, Kelly, if I'm the smallest with a 7-point dog, I'll take the 7 there. Okay, this play is much a play about going against Seattle than it is taking Atlanta. Let's be honest. Taking Seattle looks way too easy. Okay, they're 9-3. They're coming off a 26-0 blowout win. But if you look at the stats, they really did nothing offensively in that game. They only had 219 yards of offense. How they won that game last week, that defense is one of the elite defenses in the NFL this season. They had Minnesota turn the football over 5 times in one of the most ugliest performances I've ever seen out of an NFL team offensively. It was horrible. Sam Darnold, you thought he might have had a really big game last week. He was going against Minnesota, the team that he took to the playoffs last year, had the team have their best season in several seasons, but because he lost the last regular season game and he lost the first playoff game, Minnesota moved on from him. So that was a big revenge game for him last week. You know, what'd he do? 94 net passing yards on a 14 of 26 passing day. I look for Seattle to be flat this week. This is their 3rd road game in 4 weeks. 2 trips from the Northwest to East Coast coming in 3 weeks. That's a lot of travel for a team. And coming off that satisfying win in a couple of those games before this stretch, they had some big division games. So I think you look at the schedule, this is a place to really easily look against your opponent. And why not? Atlanta just lost to the Jets last week. The Jets. Kirk Cousins, he didn't do enough to win the game last week, but he did look a lot better than he did in this first start. More as he gets more reps and more games under his belt, he's going to continue to get better. Couple that with this being the major flat spot on the schedule makes Atlanta, in my opinion, a very live dog here. Seattle, the other concern, if you've been watching the games the last few weeks, even though they're finding ways to win games, they're turning the football over more than they have all year. They had 3 turnovers against Arizona, 4 turnovers against the Rams, and 2 last week against Minnesota. The only clean game they've had in the last 4 was against the hapless Tennessee Titans. And they still only won that game by 6 points. Atlanta takes it to the wire. Kelly, give me the 7 points and put a little sprinkle on there as well.
Marco, Seattle. I wanted to use them last week, and Brett made me use the Dolphins. Said, oh, we can use Seattle later. All right, using Seattle this week. That is for sure. Another team that I'm a little nervous about using this week, VR, you like the other side, the Arizona Cardinals catching 8.5.
Yeah, this isn't by accident unshaved. This is me working hard for the subscribers, just crushing it for them. That's why up this early in the morning. And I just, it's almost like a service announcement. I want to help them make money. I told them going into the Thanksgiving break that I was going to crush it. It's that time of the year where there's just so much extra value. The market conditions changed, and what happened? Finished number one over those days. Well, over this next 6 weeks is another big money-making opportunity with all the college football and NFL closing out the season. So this is a good time to jump on board. Now, NFL coming into this show, 23, 15, and 1, right around that 60% mark. Not bad for a show. Overall, college football and NFL, 55, 25, and 1. It's about 69%. So we've been making money for you on Bet On It, and we're going to continue doing that. Start off this week on the live dog, Arizona Cardinals. Don't look now, but Jacoby Brissett has been playing some really good football. In fact, he's had a 92 or higher QBR in 5 of his last 6 starts, with 3 of those over 100 QBR. So even though they haven't, won all those games, he's played well. I like that. Number 2, I like the fact that the Rams are coming off a really heartbreaking loss against Carolina in a game they were double-digit favorites. And guess who's on board next? The Detroit Lions that you get at home. So now Rams now have their second back-to-back road games. Granted, this is a divisional opponent, but there's bigger fish in the Detroit Lions on deck next. Not too much to get excited about on a 3-9 Arizona team. And here's what we're looking at with the Rams. They're the number 1 power-rated team in all the NFL. They're number 6 in offensive efficiency, top 3 defensive efficiency, and they have a top 15 strength of schedule. So very respectable. Flip side, Arizona, barely top 20 offense, barely top 20 defense, but they've had a top 10 strength of schedule. All right. So they had a very difficult strength of schedule. Power rating wise, LA should be an 8-point favorite on a neutral field. All right. Now, home field advantage for Arizona is about 1.75 this year, and coupled with the last 2 or 3 years. So do the math there. Makes the Rams about a 6.25 favorites based on my power ratings. Now, dig a little deeper, and what you'll find is Arizona, when they lose at home, they don't lose by margin. That's the one place with Arizona that they're going to give you effort. Even those games that they've lost, they have not lost by more than a score. Jacksonville only beat them by a field goal, except for San Francisco. Green Bay only beat them by 4, Tennessee by 1, Seattle by 3. So they play hard at home. They give you that effort. That's what you want from a live dog. Again, we're getting 8, 9 points, 8.5, 9s are out there when it should be 6.5. I would have took it at 7 when it should be 6.25. Forgive me, because 7 is such a key number. It would have been a small bet, but once you get over that 8, it makes it a bigger bet. I released a premium to my subscribers, 4% play, which means 1% of bankroll. I would personally bet about maybe 5 to 7, 10% of that the most at plus 330 on the money line as well, because I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams overlook them and end up slipping.
Ooh, back-to-back losses for the Rams is going to be interesting. And hopefully this dog doesn't win outright and it's just back-to-back close losses, because I do think I'd have to take Tampa Bay in Survivor this week. I was just looking on my Splash account and I'm like, I don't think I have another choice unless I want to take the Cleveland Browns. So I think I am going to go with Tampa Bay, but I do like New Orleans plus the 8.5 here. And I do think it's going to be a lot closer game. I know Tampa's won 6 of the last 7 meetings, including just a few short weeks ago in October, where I probably should have used the Bucs because they won 23-3. And it was interesting then because they were running a 2 quarterback set. So now the Bucs can be prepared for either quarterback. Here's my problem, though. The Bucs have failed to cover the spread in the last 4 games. And New Orleans is the only team the Bucs have covered against the spread since mid-October. I think this line is just a little bit high, and that's probably because they're begging for Tampa Bay teaser money. But this is the most points the Bucs have been asked to lay all season. The way they've been playing recently and struggling, like they did last week against Arizona, I think it is going to be Saints or pass for me. I know last week the Saints should never have really been in that game, right? Dolphins went down, opening possession, scored, had a comfortable lead, and then they decided to proceed to give me a heart attack for the last 2 minutes of the game. That's exactly what's going to happen this week too. So take the 8.5 points here with the Saints and hope the Bucks actually going to win the game outright for me and my survivor. Marco, I said that you have to answer to the comment section for the Deli this week. And that's because even though you are 38-26 on the season, people are pissed.
Wow.
I gave some bad turkey sandwiches, and we went 1-4 last week. I've told you every week how good we've done with the Deli, and I'll tell you when we, win. I'm going to tell you when we lose. We had a bad week, but as you said, Kelly, 8 winning weeks, 4 losing weeks, 1 break-even week. We're still 38-26 for the season with those Deli games. And shout out, we've added a new sandwich to the Deli menu. I just want to let my good friends from Chicago know we've put a Chicago dog on the menu. So you go check out, the Deli, see if we can, have a sandwich come in and, mention the Bears. We'll give you a discount.
What do you like on your Chicago dog? Let's get into the comment section here. Tell me what your ideal Chicago dog looks like.
All right, Kelly. Now you're gonna let me piss off the entire city of Chicago again because I don't like the relish that goes on the Chicago dog. And okay, I know this is sacrilegious to true hot dog connoisseurs. One, it's got to be a Vienna hot dog. It's got to be the top of the line. That's what they make the Chicago dogs out of, the authentic places. But I'm going to kill it. I'm going to put ketchup on my hot dog. I'm sorry.
Put ketchup on your hot dog. You put mustard on there too, but you absolutely put ketchup on there, Chicago.
Oh, no, I get ridiculed. You don't, Chicago, you just set the comment section on fire. You're going to see how many people.
Mustard, onion, relish. Yeah. Give me all the. I would even just put all of it. I want it all. That's what a Chicago dog is to me.
Okay. Well, I don't like the relish. I will substitute relish and I'll put sauerkraut on. I do like sauerkraut. I'll do that. Some sauerkraut.
Make the Polish and German viewers happy. Everybody else is going to say you're disgusting.
I know. Shout out to the Chicago fans, though. Really, I want you guys. I enjoyed spending the entire Thanksgiving weekend reading all of the fascists that you guys had.
This is what I told VR and Marco to do. I said, you guys, there is a button on X that says mute conversation, and then you just let these people yell into the void of themselves.
We touched a nerve last week. Kelly, you've had some, fan bases come at you. I have never, doing this for 46 years, had people come at us the way they did nonstop from the minute that game ended on Friday of Chicago and Philly to Saturday to Sunday. Nobody's talking about it. How about Carolina? You guys remember, Carolina, that was a winner. No. All they talked about VR with Texas. He talked to you guys all about Texas all week on the shows. Nothing. No thank yous. Just we sucked because we thought Chicago was overrated. What are you going to do? It's a fun business, Kelly. You know it all too well. So
listen, I'm here for it. The love, the hate, the vitriol. Put it in the comment section because
I just don't understand it.
It makes me more money on YouTube.
I don't get it. Like, these are grown men. Like, it just confuses the shit out of me. It really does. Like, it's a regular season game, bro. You took time out of your day to actually write that to me. Like, what is happening in your world that you actually needed to do that? About the Chicago Bears winning a football game.
Happening in their world. This is the only bright spot. It is the Chicago Bears are.
That's why they still dress their stupid kids up like Jim McMahon for Halloween with that dumb sweatband, like it's cool.
Hey, did it suddenly get hot in here?
No,
excuse me, guys. I don't know. All of the talk
Marco,
and
no
70 degrees this week in Florida. I'm freezing.
Oh no.
Cheer it in.
It's hot.
Go Bears!
Hot. Go Bears! Go Bears!
Go Bears!
The best team in football. I love you, Chicago. I'm sorry.
All right, the show is going completely off the rails. All the commenters that have said what a great job I've done keeping us within parameters on a tight schedule has just been completely wiped away. Marco wants to do his Deli segment in a Chicago Bears shirt. You have the floor, Marco.
All right, guys. And this is going to be an ugly one, okay? But that's what we do. We find ugly games that you've got to trust the process. It worked with us last week. You know, Washington, we told you about 2 teams going into the bye, coming out of the bye together. One was on a roll, one wasn't. We went with the team that wasn't. It's a momentum stopper. Now we're going to go against that Washington team. What did I tell you last week when we took Washington? We said the only time a team that has a record like Washington and was expected to go to the playoffs this year because of what they did last year, and they're out of it, the only time they're going to show up and play hard is going to be a division game when they can play spoiler or a standalone primetime game. What was last week? A standalone primetime game on Sunday night against the Denver Broncos. They brought everything they had and they lost in overtime. They decided to go for 2 in overtime for the win instead of kicking the field goal and continuing play. They lost. That was, semi-playoff game for them. Now they got to go on the road and play a Washington team or play Minnesota that absolutely looked like dog crap last week. There's no other way to describe it. But they're going to get J.J. McCarthy back this week. I know I'm not a fan of McCarthy, but what I saw quarterbacking last week for the Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy is a huge upgrade coming back, even though he's having a bad year. I can't take Washington in this game. We'll go with Minnesota. They've got the superior defense. I'll go ahead and lay the couple points with them. Washington is a poster child for lose the same game twice after the gut-wrenching loss to Denver. I'm calling it Minnesota 24-14. And Bears fans, I'm rooting against one of your division teams. So yay for me. I'm helping you out.
Yay for me. I can't, Marco D'Angelo. Today, that was, by the way, not planned. I don't know if VR knew he was going to do that. I sure as hell did not know that he was going to do that. Just having a great time here, week 14 NFL. We're going to get into those best bets. Marco said he's betting against a team in the NFC North. And now VR is going to bet on a team in the NFC North against that same Bears team. Oh, boy. Here we go. Best bets time.
Please understand, I have zero bias at all. And both Kelly and Marco have known me now for 15 plus years. That's the one thing when it comes to sports betting. I'm very unbiased. But this week, I do have a slight bias in me. So this is going to be a little extra sweet because I kind of do have a little sour taste in my mouth. More on the replies than anything else. Here's the bottom line. All I can do is tell you what the numbers say. That's it. There's a difference between opinion and fact. And fact is, on this show, I am 52, 22, and 1. We've done bet on it now 14 weeks. Combined college football and NFL, 55, 22, and 1. That's about 70%. So I will be wrong on occasion. All right. Now, last week, we got the Eagles Chicago game wrong. We all gave an opinion on that game. That was wrong. That was the opinion. Here we have a best bet. Here's the difference. So make sure we cut this and put this out on social media because this warrants best bet category. In fact, subscribers, don't be surprised. Like with New England, like with the Redskins, like with how many plays now, I add an extra 1% so you know just how strong it is. And here's what we're looking at. Chicago against Green Bay. We have a great spot to take Green Bay at a huge discount against an overrated Chicago Bears team. And the overrated moniker may be opinion, but let's talk some facts real quickly. Chicago has had the 29th toughest strength of schedule. So only many teams in all the NFL had an easier go of it so far this year. They've produced a 9-3 record, respectable. Stat-wise, though, here's what they have. They're not in the top 15 in offensive efficiency. They're not in the top 20 in defensive efficiency. This team has benefited from an easy strength of schedule. In fact, 6 of their last 8 wins have come by 1 score. Just look at those games. They beat Washington by 1. They beat the Raiders by 1. They beat Cincinnati by 5. They beat the Giants by 4. They beat Minnesota by 2. They beat Pittsburgh by 3. There's so much randomness to the outcome of those games. This could very easily be a 3-9 football team based on the data. That's all I'm sharing with you, the data. Opposite side of the football, Green Bay Packers. Okay? Also, easy strength of schedule. 1 slot harder than Chicago, but also had an easy strength of schedule. But with that easy strength of schedule, they've produced the 4th most efficient defense, the 10th most efficient offense. That's what Green Bay's done. Power rating wise, on a neutral field, Green Bay should be a 5.75 point favorite, a little less than a 6-point favorite. But they have a home field advantage that's worth about 2.25. So we add that to the 5.75, and Green Bay should be about an 8-point favorite in this game. We're getting them discounted below that key number of 7 because the whole world just wants Chicago beat Philadelphia as touchdown dogs on national television a week ago. That's the only reason. Because on the other side of the football, Green Bay was beating a top 5 team on the road in the Detroit Lions. Take the Green Bay Packers, lay the 6, 6.5, 7. Don't bother teasing Chicago because they lose this game by 2 touchdowns plus.
Oh
Best
boy.
bet.
That was a mic drop against Marco and his Chicago Bears t-shirt. Who gets to go next? Marco, let me know what's going on over at WagerTalk.com from your side of things, and also why you like the Colts to have a bounce back week.
Well, Kelly, I'll just be real quick. We've talked about it a couple times now. 14 days, all access for $139. You'll get every sport I release. I am not high volume. You'll get an average of 1 to 3 plays per day, and obviously more on the weekends. It averages out. But guess what? The last 34 days, we're up 55 units. That's $5,500, playing $100 a unit. Sometimes, the low volume, that's what I do, but I look for the quality, not the quantity, and check it out. Now, for this week, I'm going for my best bet. We're going to look at the Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is one of those situations where it's public perception. And right now, people are in love with Jacksonville, and they're looking at Indianapolis like, I'm not going to try to catch a falling knife. They're not playing well. Jacksonville has owned this series. There's no question about that. When they play in Jacksonville, Jacksonville has won 10 straight. But this is by far the best Indianapolis team that we have seen in recent years. They're overreacting to Indianapolis's 1-3 record over the last 4 games. The loss, go over those losses in there. They lost to Pittsburgh on the road in Pittsburgh. They were -5 in turnovers in that game. When you're -5 in an NFL game, you're going to lose. There's no question about that. But you should lose by a big margin. They only lost that game by 7 points, a 1-score game, even -5 in turnovers. That tells you how superior they really were in that game. The other 2 losses were to Kansas City and Houston. Those 2 teams have something in common. They're both good teams with elite defenses. Jacksonville is a decent, good team, not a great team. They're a good team, but they don't have an elite defense. I think Indianapolis is going to move the football this week against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's given up 24 or more in 4 of their last 6 games. In Indy, in their losses this year, the 4 losses, all have been by 7 points or less. I think they're the better team. I'm going with Indy. I think the line is a gift. I have it more so that they should be a 3-point favorite. Look for Daniel Jones to have a big game this week, and we'll go buy low on the Indianapolis Colts as my best bet.
I am not buying low for my best bet, and you guys shouldn't expect me to because I have not been doing well in these But I did cash a best bet last weekend. Barking dogs have been good. Best bets, not so much, but we did turn a corner. And that's because we just took the low-hanging fruit with the Los Angeles Chargers and bet against the Raiders. So what are we going to do this week? Yeah, we're going to just bet against the Raiders, because what happened last time? Denver played the Raiders there in Denver. Oh, what an ugly game that was. Denver somehow squeaked out a win 10-7. Gross. VR will tell you exactly how the power ratings perspective needs to go in this one. And I think the spread is right on the mark. But the reality is the Broncos are a significantly better team here in December than the Raiders are. This game was played a month ago, and these two teams have been headed in different directions. Hand up, I have been just as critical of the Denver Broncos as I have the Chicago Bears, yet the Broncos fans have not been near as mean to me in the comment section. I understand that Bo Nix is a better quarterback than I said he was going to be when he was drafted, and I understand this Broncos offense is starting to play much better now. If you remember the last time these two played, Geno Smith sacked 6 times, and since then, the offensive line has only gotten worse. Not only riddled with injury, but now they're going to be missing Dante Thornton Jr. because he got a concussion last week with the Chargers. Please remember that Chargers game was 17, but that's because Justin Herbert was out during part of it because he suffered a hand injury. I think that game could have gotten much worse out of hand. So, as I said, I've been quick to point out all of Bo Nix's flaws, but I think the Broncos are going to need 17 points to cover the spread against the Raiders. I mean, they could be 17-3, and none of us would be surprised. And I know this Broncos team, what all they do is win games at home, but tell me Allegiant Stadium is not going to be a home game for the Broncos on Sunday. That place is going to be absolutely filled with blue and orange. Raiders fans have all but quit on this team. Next up, we'll see if Pete Carroll cannot quit mid-season as well. He's looking pretty tapped out there on the sidelines. Shout out to all of you guys for hanging out with us every single week here on Bet On It. And we appreciate you letting us poke a little bit of fun back on everyone. From myself, VR, and Marco, to next week, let's bet on it. And of course, if you missed the college football edition of Bet On It, it's right here. And if you prefer to watch the mega show, click right above.